Woo! Kanye Trilogy. Shot-town, what's going on? Yeah.
Wow.
I thought you were gonna let the verse go too. I was about to say.
I drink a
Look at the
fucking that's what y'all
intro
want?
for dessert. Somebody order pancakes. I just sip the
This is
scissor.
Ran it up like Forrest Gump, mixed with Usain Bolt, but you never really made it back. You kept paving waves. When I spin the globe, I'm connected across the map. I'm a walking business brand. I'm a mogul with an LLC. What you telling me?
What up, everybody? It's the No Politics Podcast. I'm your boy, Faking No Moves.
And I'm your boy Eric BNYC.
I'm WorkinGenius.
We here, baby. Kanye West, Genius, Part 2.
Let's get into
Most
it.
anticipated fucking docuseries of the century. I said it here first.
I mean, now you say that though, like, can you think of another documentary that has gotten you guys this interested or excited? I can't think of anything off the top of the head.
The Tinder Swindler.
Yeah.
Nah, I haven't even seen that shit, to be honest. But I know people was talking about it, but like a lot right before
That's
Kanye
another
died.
one.
The Fire Fest. Was it the Fire Festival?
Fire Festival.
What is that?
You don't know about the Fire Festival? Oh, that's
What
a
are
whole
we
nother
talking about?
episode.
Is that the Tinder Swindler?
Nah,
No.
that's the
I didn't know what y'all was talking about.
there was like a festival that they would like guarantee like to see mad famous people perform on an island and shit. And when they flew them out, they had like these like raggedy tents and like ham and cheese sandwiches or like cheese sandwiches, like one slice of cheese and shit. And everybody was there.
You never heard about
the
this?
Fuck out of everybody. No,
Nah, but
it sounds
it was-
hilarious.
It was like this elaborate plan, like kind of like Aaron alluded to do this whole huge mega concert that was
On
supposed
an
to have on a deserted island that was supposed to have this big bill, but part of the amenities you were going to get, like, it was supposed to be like food,
meet and greets. It was,
yeah.
you heard of
places.
Chris Jericho's like his cruise where he has
yeah,
like the wrestlers come through and like
Yeah.
hang out with the people that buy tickets.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be something like that, but on an island, and it
Gotcha.
just wasn't.
And Ja Rule was behind it. Like,
Ja Rule's
also. He was
name.
one of the investors.
Yeah, he
like
was,
he got
his name is
clowned.
attached to it.
Okay.
I feel like Cesar was in jail or something, and we're like explaining things to him.
Was this before or after Ja Rule was a hit? Like,
No, this is a couple years ago.
This
It's
was like
what?
2016.
Yeah, it's
oh
like
wow.
3-4 years ago. Like, look it up. Like, actually, there's a Hulu documentary and then there's a Netflix one.
Yes.
I saw bits and pieces, but there's one
safe
particular
to say
scene.
though, it wasn't like as hyped as the Kanye shit. For me,
Nah, definitely
That's
not.
crazy.
But it's one, and it was the dude with the tiger dude. What's his name?
Oh,
Tiger
Tiger King.
I never seen that either.
I've never
No,
seen that.
Aaron
Tiger
wouldn't
King's
stop
crazy.
bothering me about it.
Yeah.
Tiger King is crazy.
Oh,
They're
the
coming
mur-
out with a Hulu, I think of his shit too, or another shit where like people are playing
Yeah.
the characters.
I think
That-
they're coming out. Yeah, they're
It
coming
was
out
on the
with
Super Bowl, right? They showed a commercial or some shit.
You know, it was another big doc was that murder documentary on Netflix. The making of a murderer or some shit like that.
What
You
But
mean
see,
how
like,
to- wait,
When they
Another-
framed that dude, or it seemed like they framed that dude, like who
in Wisconsin?
they coerced like a admission of guilt for a murder that he really didn't commit based on the evidence.
Because like he grew up in that town, he was known, his family was known. They owned like a lot of land where they had a junkyard, and like they basically said like he was targeted.
Yeah.
I don't watch too many documentaries. I gotta be honest.
I like that.
But I did watch the Aaron Hernandez documentary, and I did watch Don't Fuck with Cats.
Don't Fuck
Yes,
with
you know, right?
Cats. That was another one.
Don't fuck with cats.
Yeah.
You didn't see that?
No.
Oh, that's another Netflix
Yo.
banger.
Is it about cats?
Conda.
Yeah, and a murderer.
Conda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, I missed that one.
Do your
Yeah.
homework. Take notes.
All right. Well, you got to watch the Fire Festival first. Like maybe
I didn't
watch
know
the
that was a
Fire Festival.
documentary. But
Yeah.
I just thought y'all was saying like,
Y'all both gotta watch. You gotta watch Firefest, and you gotta watch Don't Fuck with Cats.
I only watched this Kanye doc, to be honest, just because I know he talking about it. I mean, I'd be curious, but I wouldn't have watched it with the quickness that I have been watching it.
Word, but it's been worth it, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Talk about
fire. So where do you start?
Where do you want to start with it?
You know what? Last week you had all the best favorite scenes. I think you should kick it up.
Last.
What were your favorite scenes?
Nah, because then y'all not gonna get to talk.
Nah, but you know what? One thing I will say too, last week, when talking about the documentary, I remember I kept referencing like when I heard his music in 2004 when the album came out, and then like at the same time I was thinking like, but all the footage is like 2002. So this new episode confirmed that in between him making those classics, so he was sitting on All Falls Down, Jesus Walks, what was the other shit? The Family Business, and another record for like 2 years before the album even dropped.
Was All Falls Down? Jesus Walks,
Family Business,
2 Words,
2 Words, boom. So because we were talking about like, this is your demo you're shopping. Remember, we were like, really,
and he already had bangers on it. Yeah.
So he sat on those fucking classics for another 2 years after that. That's crazy.
You know the thing that
really put it out.
The thing that kind of struck me. No, you good. Like what I loved, and it kind of goes to the way he makes music even today. Like, notice how, despite the fact that around 2002, 2003, 2004, when these records were being made, it was kind of a couple years into the Pro Tools era already. So it's like, for anybody who doesn't know, music was made on reel-to-reel tape. So like you actually had, if you've ever seen one of those like reels, people recorded on those before the digital era kind of took off. So like Pro Tools kind of changed the game, but it also kind of made it so that people didn't have to be in the same room anymore, which is like the gift and the curse of technology. But Ye even spoke in the doc about it, how his manager was telling him, was like, yo, just send the verses, just send the track. And he didn't want to do that because he wanted the experience of being in the same room and creating and vibing off the energy. And it was a genius, not to sound redundant, but it was a genius move in the end. It paid off because you saw like all those collaborators who were in there, like the way he was selling the vision for that project, it made you want to give your best work.
Yeah.
I also think it's just more real when you put it in front of them, because like you could send your shit and you won't even know how they reacted to it, right? You won't even know if they're like this is alright, or you might not get the genuine feel of it, right? And there's a part in it that kind of exemplifies that in the part 2, where I forget who it was because he played his shit for so many people. But at one point he goes, yo, can I just play this for you before I leave? He's like, before I go, can I just play this for you? And he plays a track. I don't know if it was the Pharrell part. I know it was someone. It might have been Mos Def. He plays something for Mos Def.
Yeah.
And
then
he goes, I just want to see. He goes, I just want to see how you react to it. Like just that. Yeah. Like just he wants to not like put it in front of them and see how they feel him kind of. Yeah. And to get the full experience of that, So, but I think it's very important too. Like you really get a feel of. It's almost like it goes back to the part 1 with the part where he's like, he said it was incredible. Like he wants to feel that. He like that feeds him. So
and it's crazy because Kanye's still like that to this day, where he likes to work with people together in the studio. Like when he was doing even the Ye album, he flew everybody to Wyoming to work on the album. When he did My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, he flew everyone to Hawaii to do the out. You know what I'm saying? Like
Donda, everybody in Atlanta, the fucking Falcon Stadium.
Yes, exactly. Like that's probably where the magic comes from. Like, because it's just
Falcon Stadium.
happening. It's being created. Falcon Stadium and wherever he calls his home and wherever he decides to make an album. You know what I'm saying? And it actually happened. You could see it happening in New York in episode 1, and then you see it happening in LA in episode 2, where he's pulling up to studios where he's don't even got a session.
Oh man, I love
and
that.
Then he's like, usually when I pull up, Luda's outside waiting for me. Like, he's like, I don't know what's going on today, like, and I'm just like, yo, that's crazy, But yeah, man, that's dope. Fuck, man, like, how about the fact that fucking that accident didn't slow down like nothing for him? Like, he was still like, I gotta get it, like, pulling up, rapping for people.
Was literally
with the shits in his mouth.
He was literally in the chair, like as the dentist was coming in, and he was like envisioning like the music video, like, okay, get some of these shots, we could do this for the music video. He was already had like going to
and the fact that they were able to pivot too, like, he wanted to be in the video, but as the doctor's like, it's gonna take longer than that, they got more creative. How can we do this? And then more doors just opened for them. Like, it was crazy.
You can't
shout out to Chike, because we mentioned him last week, but like, we mentioned him towards the end because he wasn't really a part of the first episode, but he's also behind creating this documentary with Kuti. Right. They always been a team, and they showed a lot more of that dynamic and how they became a team as well. Yes. So, but yeah, more doors open. They got more creative.
Yeah, I don't think you could undersell how much of a visionary Kanye is. It's like if you didn't believe that to be true before this documentary, I don't understand how you could walk away from watching it and thinking anything less than that. Because it's like for him to be in these moments, like you said, like he's in the dentist chair and he's envisioning scenes that could be used while they adjust the wire in his jaw after a couple weeks from just being in an accident that almost killed him. And he has, the vision to kind of tell the director, Kuti, like, yo, capture this scene. I think this could be dope. We could implement it into the video. Like, who the hell thinks like that?
It's funny because literally when I wrote that in my notes, I literally wrote -vision, like with mad ends. And it's funny because part 1 was called Vision, but when I saw that, I'm like, yo, it's Vision right there. Like, that was incredible.
Yeah, man.
What else? Oh, a part I like that I wrote down. Since we just gonna go. My fault, guys, if I steal your part.
Go ahead.
When he's in the studio with Jay, and he kind of speaks up and raps, and Jay puts him on the track, and Jay tells him, "Closed mouth don't get fed." He says, "You wouldn't have said nothing. You wouldn't have been on that."
Mm-hmm.
And like, honestly, like as I watched the whole part 2, that's something that stuck out to me, was how much he spoke up in times where someone might undersell themselves or might not want to impose or might want to be like, you know what, let me just play my part. Let me not overimpose myself, like, or do too much. He took his shot every fucking time he had a chance. He took his shot. Yo,
he takes the initiative.
And to piggyback off that, even when he was doing the video premiere and he did the speech, like, my budget's closed. I don't know if y'all know, but my budget's closed. I don't know if y'all know, but I've been paying for it. I don't know. And I'm thinking to myself, like, bro, people say, oh, Kanye got famous and started acting like speaking out and shit, but he don't even, right now he's shelved. He's on the shelf and he's speaking out to get his chance. Like, he was himself all along. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just him. And I don't know. It was just like, to me, like, very telling. Like, it kind of like foreshadowed what he would be without really, like, obviously in that time period, the people there don't really know, like, yo, Kanye's crazy, but like in a good way, to me at least,
Yeah, so. You can't, I think it also shows that you can't really be as successful as someone like him without really putting yourself out there and daring to take those chances. It's like, it's the chances is really what separates the average person with talent versus somebody who's actually on and make it. It's like, yeah, you got to get lucky. Somebody has to give you a shot, but you also have to kind of create those opportunities for yourself. And sometimes you're gonna get put out there and you're gonna look silly and it's gonna come out wrong, and you may rub people the wrong way. But it's like, for him, like, yo, like we seen him in the studios with like some big people, like even going back to the first episode with Scarface, and Scarface was kind of talking to him like a big brother or uncle or dad, which was like, yo, what is that? And he had his retainer on the studio console. He was like, yo, that don't belong there. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, and it's like none of that shit phased him.
Yeah.
None of, like, he was so laser focused in what he was trying to accomplish and do. And like he fucking did it. And not only did he do it, it's like he did it like probably beyond even his own fucking vision of things. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure he thought it was gonna be successful, but like I don't know if he really thought that he would get nominated for 10 Grammys on his first album.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Legendary.
Yeah, I mean, they say luck is when preparation meets opportunity, and one thing about Kanye is every time he had an opportunity, he spoke up and he created his own luck through those opportunities. Because it's not like, sure, getting lucky is a part of it, but when you take advantage of every single chance that you get, of course you're gonna get lucky. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
of course it's gonna something.
Yeah, he created his own opportunity multiple times, even in this episode when he fucking basically went outside to find Luda and be like, yo, I gotta play some shit for you, and then got him in the studio. And Luda, I like how he was like in and out. He like did it and then left. But at the same time, it says a lot that he even got the opportunity, played a record that Luda caught Luda's ear, and Luda put the time in to do it for him, like, because it was dope enough.
Also,
he did the same shit with Pharrell, because when they were coming, he was like, yo, we might not be able to record because they're doing other people's music right now, type shit. And then
I was gonna say, and I'm gonna let you get to what you're gonna say, Eric, but I was gonna say, just on that point, even the fact that when he came in, he was like, Pharrell said, like, he's giving us 10 minutes with Luda or some shit. Like 10 minutes, and like that was all they need. That was worth that trip to the studio to try to get it done. Like he was literally maxing out all of his time. Oh, if we could get 10 minutes with Luda, that's all we need. Let's get 10 minutes with Luda. Let's get 15 minutes with Pharrell. That was all he needed. Like literally maxing out all of his time. I thought that was incredible.
He's a hustler, like ultimate hustler. Like, I mean, it's really like it's some storybook shit. Like, really, like it's hard to wrap your head around the fact that all of that shit is true. It actually happened. Like all the way from the fact that Cootie, the director, ended up leaving a career in comedy that was, he left that a successful, like he had like a popular kind of like interview video show that he was doing that was covering hip hop artists in Chicago, and he dropped his shit and moved to New York because he believed so much in Kanye's talent that he wanted to document him. Like, to me, like that's crazy. Like, that's crazy. And then the thing that my takeaway also is, like, one scene that I loved was the scene with where they're at the PD Crack video shoot.
Yep,
and
I was just thinking about that.
Rockefeller A&R's Big Face Gary, I believe.
Yep.
He gets on camera, puts his arm around Ye, and he's like, yo, it's like, this is the best rapper producer in the game right here. And Ye stops and looks at him, he's like, what you mean rapper producer? And he was like, yo, you the best rapper producer. Like, I'm bigging you up. You're
one of a kind.
Yeah. And he was like, yo, like, yo, that don't mean shit. He was like, most of them dudes is whack. He was like,
that's like saying you the best kid rapper or some shit. He said.
He said, yo, that's like saying that you're the best female rapper out. It's like, nah, yo. He's like, I'm a rapper. I'm trying to compete with them. And he points around to like the whole state property is there. He's like, yo, I'm trying to compete with them. He was like, so like, I'd rather be called the 50th best rapper than be called the best rapper producer. Like I ain't here in this to be the best rapper to producer. I'm in here to be the best, basically. You know what I mean? Like that was an ill scene.
Yeah. And then fucking right after that, he got into his accident, which was like, damn, like he went out to LA to go work with PD, and then he had to stay out in LA because of the whole tragedy. That, like he said, though, he turned tragedy to triumph. Like,
Word.
that
And
was
if you
crazy.
think about it too, like watch how these labels move, right? So in the first part, Ye builds up a buzz and shoots all this footage with Cootie, which then they had the idea to turn into an MTV You Hear It First to push to MTV. So the label didn't get him that. He got that through his own hustle.
Yep.
He gets that spot. Shortly thereafter, him getting that spot, shortly thereafter, a couple more placements, big prominent placements, production placements. He ends up getting signed to Rockefeller finally, right? But they basically had him on the shelf. They didn't open his budget. They weren't actively promoting him like that. It was more.
Another thing came to my mind. The accident happened, and then they shelved him, right? Because they, like you said, he had the buzz. He got the MTV thing. They were like, "Fuck it, he's making."
But even before that, he wasn't a priority, though.
But he's not a priority. Yes,
but even before the accident, he wasn't really a priority. What I was gonna say is though, like
it made him even more not a priority. The accident,
right? But what it's like is this. You know how in sports, sometimes a team will make a move. They may make a waiver pickup or a small kind of deal just to block another team in their own division. Not necessarily with the idea of maybe playing them immediately or utilizing them immediately, but only so the next team doesn't benefit from having them on a squad. So like you could say all the time, right? Yeah. So like you can make the argument that Rockefeller Def Jam did the same thing with Kanye. They recognized that he was a talent, even though they didn't fully necessarily maybe believe in him as a rapper. They believed enough in his creativity as an artist to be like, you know what? Let's give this guy a deal, right? But there wasn't an urgency there to kind of put him on in any way or give him the push that Rockefeller could. Like we got to think about Rockefeller in those days, right? Look at their roster. It's a bunch of street rappers, like
I mentioned on the fucking flyer, there was fucking MOP, Freeway, Beanie, like, you know what I'm saying? Jay, obviously, fucking State Property, like the Young Guns, PD Crack.
Nah, look, the part that got me tight was when they pulled up on Dame Dash and Kanye played his shit, and Dame was there, Biggs was there, I believe.
Biggs was chilling, but Dame was nowhere. Like,
and then the female, the little kid rapper,
the little girl, like rap before him or whatever,
and he was paying attention to the little girl.
He was paying attention and saying like, I'm ready to sign whenever you ready, whatever. And then like Kanye played his shit right after. And then you see Dame run out the room, and then he comes back in. He's like, "Yo, we gotta go. We gotta make this move or some shit." And like, who knows what he had to run off to do? But it was just like come on, bro. Like, it was just corny to me.
But to push back on that a little bit though, and I felt the same way as you. But I have heard from other people who were around Kanye at that time and saw him going into like the offices of A&Rs and just whoever he could find an assistant to hear his music. Like I heard that was a common thing where he would kind of bum rush people and just play his music. And it wasn't always at the most opportune times. But I mean, like whatever you consider opportune, to somebody like it's that's in the eye of the beholder.
I'm like, because I'm like, it's not an opportune time right after another person just performed.
What was it? Cypher Sounds. I was listening to the One At podcast, right? And Cypher used to work at Raucous Records at the time during this era, so he knew Kanye from that time, and he remembers seeing Kanye come up there all the time and play his music in the same way. And he was defending the female Shaka, I believe, from the first part of the documentary, where a lot of people on Instagram like were giving her, and social media were giving her a lot of shit, leaving like really bad comments and terrible comments about her, because it was like some retroactive rage or something that they had, because they watched the doc and they got this feeling as though she didn't give Ye any time of day. But what Cypher was saying was like, yo, you got to understand, she works in the marketing department. She has no ability to sign Kanye. Kanye went in there and played her the music, and she had stuff on her desk.
Shit
Like,
to
I
do.
think she has
I
stuff
had
to
mentioned that
do.
before too. I don't know if it was on the podcast or
No, we were
just
talking about
a
it off the
personal
podcast.
conversation.
I think it was off air.
Like, she's in her office. Like, she didn't do nothing wrong. She heard him out, but she probably had shit to do. Like, she busy. People coming in and out the fucking office. It looked like a fucking pretty popping
Yeah,
office.
there was stuff going on. Yeah,
There was stuff going on. Yeah.
I like that you coined it retroactive rage. I don't know if you made that up, but it sounds amazing. That's literally the perfect thing to call it.
I probably heard it before somewhere, but I'm not gonna pop my collar like that. Like, you know what I mean? But
you think I would not argue that. But yeah, I remember making the point. We definitely had that conversation off air.
And to Eric's point about it not being the most opportunistic, for all we know, that day when he showed up to Dame's crib, it was so he can listen to that kid rap and provide a beat or something to that kid. And then after, Kanye was like, yo, that kid's fucking whack, here's my shit, and started trying to play his shit, and Dame's like, yo, I gotta go.
Yeah. And I'm gonna be honest.
That's what I said. Like, I don't know what Dame had to go do.
Context is everything.
Yeah, I didn't know what Dame had to go do, but
from the optics of what we seeing it, like, it's just like, yo, not giving him the time of day type shit, you know.
And I'm gonna be honest,
which was a trend we were seeing.
Even though Dame didn't give him the time of day, it appeared in that, like, I really didn't love what he did with the remix to Bonnie and Clyde. So it's like, personally, it was like,
I liked how he spit it for Pharrell, but I didn't think really it needed to be played for the people at Rockefeller who just put out Jay's fucking monster smash of version of it. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
but speaking of Pharrell though, let's talk about that for a minute. How incredible. Yeah, it definitely was one of my favorite. Like, how incredible of a dude is Pharrell
after the advice he told him about.
Talk about vision too.
Oh
like,
my
Pharrell
God!
Ben had the vision.
He was like, just please always stay like grounded or whatever.
I got the whole quote written.
Go ahead,
that shit.
Nah, he goes. Let me find it. He goes, "You gonna make it, and when you make it, keep the same perspective and hunger." And then he says, I could tell when a nigga is really, really hot, but I can tell when they have the potential to become complacent. You do not have that. But only thing I'm saying is that once niggas tell you hot, still doubt yourself. That's the quote. And yeah, that was fire.
Yeah, like Pharrell, man, it's like, I say this. When Pharrell's no longer here, like, I'm gonna shed a tear for real. Like,
oh man,
because like that dude,
I didn't like you saying that.
I know. I'm not putting that in the air, you know, like, but I'm just saying, like,
I ain't gonna lie.
Pharrell been that boy.
Everybody, we lose our legends, man. They don't live forever.
Pharrell's like so universally loved too.
Yeah,
like, Pharrell's
he made Happy. Like, come on.
He made Happy. Yo, he made Super Thug. And he made Grinding.
Word. Like, and then he made Beautiful with Snoop D or Double G. Like, come on. Yo, it's weird though, because like, you know how Kanye's like, a god and in some type way, like he always be on that vibe. But when these people die, like, you know, like how we look at, I don't know how this go.
Why is it so dark right now?
But like, you know how it's like the Saints. Like, it's gonna be like Saint Pharrell, Saint Biggie, you know what I'm saying? Like, shit like that. Like, that's Saint Pharrell. You listen, you listen when he speaks.
Nah, but I mean, listen, but Pharrell is just like, he didn't have to do any of that. He didn't have to give him the time of day. He didn't have to give him those words. Like, it just speaks to how genuine of a dude. And also, Pharrell gets it. He gets it in a way that very few people can. Like, everything that Kanye was doing, he was able to see and get and understand, because Pharrell was there also in that same place not so long ago. Like Pharrell came in with the trucker hats, the tight jeans, the tight shirts. He didn't look anything like what you saw in hip hop during that time. And like Nori talks about this all the time, where he talks about his first studio sessions with Pharrell. And he's like, yo, like, who are these dudes? Like the Neptunes. You got this Asian dude, and then you got this Asian looking black guy. Like what are we doing here?
And he said
like,
he even brought him to Nas and Jay, and they were like, his shirts are too tight. Like,
yeah,
you know, like what the hell? Like,
but those tracks
crazy.
knocked though, and like
Bro.
he had the sauce, and it's like, and so he had to overcome that hurdle. So like Ye had to overcome the same hurdle even within the own label that he was signed to. Like, he had a quote in there, and I think this was a dope quote, and I think it sums it up. He says, let me bring it up. He says, I feel like I'm the first of the hybrid of the Ice and the Backpackers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and it makes a lot of sense. Rockefeller was very bling, street rap. It was flossing. They were flossing. They were talking about how much money, how much cars.
Their artists, like they give you a chain,
and it was gaudy. You know, some of their music, it was like very overt. You know, like they were living that lifestyle, the young hustler lifestyle. Like, and then Kanye also had this other side to him that was very underground. If you think about his production, it was soulful. He was speaking from the heart. Like, he wasn't fronting about what he didn't have. You know, like, so like everything that he was saying was like almost kind of in a way aspirational. Like, he was talking about things.
He was saying, I'm not street. I haven't killed someone. I ain't shoot nobody.
Facts.
But I'm still out here just speaking about everything that goes on in my life.
Facts.
You know? And it just reminded me of when he said, yo, when I was in that hospital bed, you know, I kept thinking, like, I came to the decision that I'm gonna be the best dress rapper ever. He was like, because I was looking at all these videos, I'm like, they shit trash. They whole style trash. Nowadays you say drip. They drip was trash.
But that's but that also kind of encapsulates that quote though, when he says, I'm the hybrid of the Ice and the Backpacker.
That's why I thought about it when you were saying that, you know.
And his mom touched on that.
And then he comes out in New York. And when he steps out on the stage, he just stays there with his fit in the backpack, and he's looking at the crowd, and it just showed the level. This was after Through the Wire was taking over now. And you could see that, like, yes, like he was like soaking in, like finally living up to everything he knew he could be. The way they were going crazy for him, like, oh, that was awesome. That was, and the drip for 2003, 2004, the drip was fire. The drip was fire.
The polo rugby.
Yeah, he came out with the polo and
the retroactive drip.
Oh,
retroactive drip. Any other scenes that resonated with you, Cesar?
Yes. I love the Through the Wire with the live choir scene where they're recording it. I was gonna say even the way he stepped in and like, cause they were running through it. Whoever was leading the choir was like running through it, and even the way Kanye kind of stepped in to be like, nah, don't do it like that. Do it more like this. And he even sings it. He don't got a voice or nothing, right? Nothing special, but he had the confidence to kind of even like sing it to them and let them know, like, nah, this is how I want it. And then right after that, they nailed it, and it sounded amazing. Like.
But Kanye's very, very good at that throughout his whole career. Like now, as we've grown with him, we realize like he can relay that
he has a specific vision, like,
way it should be done, and he don't sound bad doing it himself. But then the person that he always gets to do it just bodies it, like, you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of like with Donda when it leaked, like. A year or something prior, where it was Yandi, the album Yandi, and it had Hurricanes, and he was singing the hook, the 80 degrees, all that shit. That was Kanye singing it. And then on Donda, when it came out, the Weeknd's body in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Kanye's always been on some shit like that. Like, but that was a great scene.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of the scene where he actually sang slow jams for Jamie too.
Oh my god, yeah.
That's
another
continue.
scene. Talk about that scene. No, talk about that scene.
No, like
No.
man, like that scene speaks for itself. Like, yo, bro,
That
like
scene was great.
he sang it. He had the idea to like talk and be like, yo, we want some like old school records. We want some dusties. Like, you know, he's like, yo, and Jamie, man, when he's doing the la da 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 da, yo, what? Yo,
when he's talking shit in the beginning of the record too, it just brought me back to that record. Like I immediately wanted to pause that and listen to slow jams. Like that's the feeling that it gave me. That was an ill scene. So like, just to provide some context for that, I don't know if y'all ever heard Jamie kind of talk about that studio session with Kanye before.
I don't think so.
I don't think I've
So there's an interview on, I think the JRE podcast, Joe Rogan Experience, where he talks.
We're just all full circle here.
Joe Rogan didn't drop the N-word in that episode, so no worries. Anybody who wants to listen to that, you know, but it was a good interview. So like he spoke about the fact that he was one of the first dudes to kind of discover Kanye. And he said what ended up happening, I think, is Kanye was over his house because he threw a party of some kind. And Jamie was describing the fact that a lot of times when he used to live out in LA, he had this home when he was like a bachelor still, before he really had a family like that. I think he used to throw these big parties, and at these parties
he still does that shit.
Yeah, he used to have up and coming artists perform for the people who were in attendance. So like he told a story where Drake, before he came out and blew up, was one of those guys who performed at his event and stuff like that. And he was shy, brought him on stage. He was like, yo, like, and he killed it. He said, so I don't know if Kanye was there for that specific reason, but he was there. They chopped it up. He gave him the idea. Jamie, the thing that's crazy is like what people don't realize is that Kanye was really responsible for this resurgence in Jamie Foxx musically. So like Jamie's always been talented, but he made his name as a comic.
He never got really taken serious as a singer, but he always had that talent. He would do it in his stand-ups. He would sing, play the piano, all that.
Yes. And it wasn't because they couldn't get past the fact that he's this guy who's in these movies. He's on, you know, he does these stand-up specials. He plays these characters on these sketch comedy shows when he was on Living Color and all of that stuff. And like now he's trying to sing, like hit high notes and like sing R&B music and love music. Like it wasn't connecting. And I think he had released an album years prior that flopped.
Yeah.
So I say that to say, like, Kanye asking him to be on that hook on Slow Jams resurrected his career too. And like the timing of it was like Slow Jams happened, and then shortly thereafter, Jamie had his solo, you know, his debut. Well, not his debut, but his reemergence to the music scene.
Yeah.
And he was, for a minute there, Jamie Foxx was putting out big records. He had records with The Dream, with Kanye, like he had records with a lot of people. So like it's interesting how like
it shows Kanye's vision also, like going back to that, like his vision, like he really knew like Jamie was the one for that record too. Like,
and I bet Jamie must have been like, me? You sure? Like, you know what I mean?
But
like
I love that we see Jamie hearing it and like
for the first time,
and loving it. Like, no, like I gotta do this. Like, this is a fire record.
I was gonna say,
who knows if Jamie in the back of his mind was like, maybe I might not get kept on it. Maybe someone else might do it over, but I'll lay it. You know, but he did, and that was dope. What was you saying?
Fire.
I was gonna say, I love that you kind of mentioned how, or you definitely mentioned how it led to a resurgence in Jamie because people were kind of boxing Jamie in as this comic, you know, this goofy.
That's a great word.
Kind of, what, goofy?
No, boxing.
Oh yeah.
It's
like,
perfect.
And in the same way, that was what Kanye was going through as a producer, and so it's like so beautiful that they link, and then they put down a track like fucking Slow Jams, and it's it's a hit. Like, so I just think
And
it's
if
dope.
Amazing.
anything, the way the stars aligned, Slow Jams was popping. And then through the wire, it took the Kanye name to as a rapper and an artist to another level. Slow Jams came out first.
Did it?
I
Think
don't
so.
remember clearly enough.
Think so.
I thought
I'm
through
not
the
entirely
wire.
sure. I
Or
thought Through
no,
the
wait,
Wire
through
was
the
his
wire, the video
first
came out
joint.
first. The
Right.
video came out first, and then he dropped Slow Jams after. Either way, they both of those records were very pivotal in helping Kanye build his name to the next level. Where then, by the time he dropped Jesus Walks for the World, it was like, yo, who is this artist? This guy like does like so many different styles and is so like aware of like what's going on in the world, connecting with the people like in a way that was crazy. He was doing the lady records, he was doing the life record, then he's doing the fucking conscious record. Like shit was crazy. And speaking of Jamie Foxx, one more thing I thought about is crazy how then it also showed when they linked up, right? And he had Gold Digger before his fucking first album even dropped.
Mhm.
And it's like, yo, I got this idea, this Ray Charles shit.
Yeah, he had the Ray
And,
Charles sample.
and played
Did
the
it drop
He-
or it was
he-
about to drop?
It was about to drop
It was about
the
to
first
drop
album.
the first album. But yeah, he's like, I might
gotta
need you. I might
release
need your
it.
help. I might need your help clearing this for me. I guess because
He
that
did
had
the
to have
Ray
been around
movie.
the time he did
Right
the
at-
Ray movie. Yeah,
Correct.
The
so
stars aligning like was
Mhm.
But
ridiculous.
also in that same session, he's playing crack music. The song that ends up being crack music on Late Registration with The Game for Puff, and The Game
Yeah.
does make a little cameo.
And the game
Yeah.
comes,
Yeah.
and his mom, and he's
And
in the
his
studio. Him, his mom, Puff,
his
and
mom
the
meets
game.
Puff. Yeah,
Right? Like,
Like what?
imagine, like, I don't know about any of y'all. I love my mom, but I would never invite her to a studio session. Like,
but I'd invite Donda.
Word.
Donda,
It's-
she's different. She
Yeah.
fits.
Yeah, so like, but that was an ill scene too, because like, so I remember back in the day, there was discussions about Kanye contributing to the album that Puff was working on. I think Puff had that Press Play album,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if y'all remember that, but
I
so
remember
Royce
it.
Royce the 5'9" wrote on it.
Pharoah Monch
Pharoah
wrote on
Monch,
it.
you told me. Yeah.
I think maybe
The game he
Jay,
wrote
the
on
game. Yeah. So crack music was intended for that project. And if you heard the verse that was spit, I think Kanye spit a verse. That
that. That
verse,
verse never came out. He's talking
Nah.
about G Unit Aftermath on it.
yeah, it
Mm.
would look like it was a reference for Puff to do. So like Kanye wrote for Puff, he laid a reference vocal track that Puff was supposed to record to and do over at some point. You know, Puff doesn't write his lyrics, you know. So, but that was a dope thing to hear that, because I never heard that. Maybe it's on YouTube, who knows? But like that was my first time hearing it,
Me too.
and it ends up becoming on getting on Late Registration, and good thing, because like that's one of my favorite records on that project.
Mhm.
Crack. I mean, the beat is incredible, like the chorus, like it's a dope record. But it's crazy, like
And Kanye's sequencing, the sequencing of his albums have always been phenomenal, and it showed with College Dropout. Even when they're in the studio, just like mixing it and mastering it, and like how it went from the drug dealing just to get by, it's like, you know, and then it went into Jesus Walks, and like he's just fine tuning everything. Like, man. And you talking about crack music on the second album made me remember how like that goes from crack music to like On My Way Home with Common, which is another great fucking record.
yeah.
But yeah, Kanye sequencing, man.
Late Registration, I mean, this is a side comment, but Late Registration doesn't get enough credit, I don't think. Like,
Yeah.
I think like people mostly kind of talk about College Dropout, Graduation, and My Dark Twisted Beautiful Fantasy.
Yeah,
And
it kind of gets lost in the shuffle a little
Yeah.
bit.
But production on that project, like you said, Aaron, it was lush, beautiful, and it's like, and it was, this is the thing about Kanye, I think, that people don't give him credit enough for. And it's one of the reasons he gets criticized. Like, and it's we want the old Kanye and stuff like that, right? Which all artists do go through the kind of varying degrees where fans kind of try to peg them into this one space. And it's usually the space or the point where they fell in love with them as an artist, and they always want them to stay there. But Kanye is all about the risk, though. Like Kanye, he's always trying to do that next thing. When the minute that you thought that all he was this kid from Chicago who wears polo rugbies and wears Louis Vuitton book bags, and he raps over sped up chipmunk sounding soul samples. You hear the second album, Late Registration. Yeah, there was soul, but it was a different kind of soul. Like he had a bigger sound. It was more instrumentation. Like it wasn't the same sound as the first project. Then Graduation wasn't the same as Late Registration. Like it just got bigger and bigger and stuff. And then the last couple years, it seems like he went in the other direction where he's more of a minimalist in his sound. It's like scale back. You know, it's like it's less about, like you said, Aaron, earlier, that his sequencing was incredible. One would argue that his sequencing over the last several albums, probably from Pablo on, is not as great as it was earlier in his career. And I think part of that is by design, where he's less of a taskmaster. Like Ye used to be this guy who would obsess. I mean, think about it. He recorded College Dropout for 2-3 years or whatever. He's doing these projects now, like Donda, literally in a couple weeks. He recorded Pablo, like he's setting deadlines before he even has the album finished nowadays.
Yeah.
You think about it, it's like his albums have become like this living, breathing thing where it's like, if you check the stream and you open your Spotify, don't be surprised if you hear a different verse or you hear a different mix from what you heard last week. And he has that luxury now because nobody uses CDs anymore. Everything is digital, so he can update his album, you know, months down the road if he wanted to. So it's just a different.
But I feel like
process.
he always wanted to be like that anyway. It's just that in the beginning he didn't have the opportunity because, like, it showed he was shelved and all that. And then, but once he like basically, you know, not to foreshadow for like future episodes, but once it was like, wait till I get my money right, then you can't tell me nothing, right? Like he just went off and just started making albums and putting music out as quick as he could, probably because it worked in the beginning, you know. And I think honestly with Donda, I feel like he's kind of tapping back into it. I don't know, I haven't heard Donda 2 yet, which I want to know. I know he had a stream for it, but I think in a way like this documentary could help him tap back into that.
Well, speaking of wait till I get my money right, like what do y'all think about the part in the documentary in part 2 where Chike mentions that, or actually Cootie mentions that him and Chike were left behind when Kanye went out on tour, and he felt as though his management and his handlers were kind of getting in between them and Kanye to a degree, and there was a distance that wasn't there before. Like and then they show that whole conversation where they're talking about Jesus Walks video. And Kanye kind of loses the fact. He was like, yo, like I love y'all, like y'all my dudes and stuff, like I'm gonna have y'all direct as much as possible, but like yo,
it's
like,
Hype Williams. He's like the Michael Jordan.
He had a vision for Hype Williams directing Jesus Walks. So what do y'all think about how they kind of documented that, and just like overall about what the music industry can kind of do to kind of like separate people and kind of like, you know, like was that a natural evolution? Do you think just they were gonna go separate eventually, or do you feel like there was just a change in Kanye specifically, or like what is your take on that?
You wanna go?
I'll go. I think honestly, like I don't think Kanye did anything wrong there. I think like
I agree. I thought he handled it as well.
I thought Chike could be like, you know what, but Chike also did. I mean, not Chike, Cootie also was like, you just gonna like be like, you don't like what they got, and you just gonna come to us anyway. And for me, I already knew that Kanye ended up doing 3 different versions and had Chike
Me
and
too.
Cootie and Chike do a version. So just seeing it is like, yo,
You
I
talking
don't
about
think he
Jesus
should.
Walks?
Jesus Walks, yeah. I'm like, I don't think he should get really mad that he wants to get Hype Williams. Like, like, come on,
Yeah,
like, you
I
can't
think
just be like, nah,
Kanye
I'm gonna do
was.
all your videos. Like, like
Yeah,
let
I
him
think.
mingle and get other perspectives. At the end of the day, he probably would have been bring Cootie around, and Cootie could have got pointers watching fucking Hype Williams. So
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think Kanye asked like really graciously. Like
I agree.
he wasn't like, yo, like Hype Williams on another level. Like he wasn't like shitting on them, He was giving them their flowers, showing them they his love and
He
appreciation.
was trying to be
But
considerate.
yeah,
exactly, but Kanye has a vision, and like you got to trust Kanye's vision at this point, right? Like you followed him
yeah.
along, when he has a vision and it's specific to that point, you just got to trust him at that point.
Right.
And so I didn't think he did anything wrong. I think he was real nice about it, and that's not an easy conversation to have.
Nah.
And again, like I keep saying, like the thing I keep coming back to when watching this episode was how bold Kanye was and how like just fearless he was, and when he knew he wanted something the way he wanted it, he's having those tough conversations, he's maneuvering those tough situations, and I thought he did the best he could in that situation. I didn't think he did anything wrong at all.
I brought it up also because it's interesting. Like that part kind of stuck with me because I was watching an interview with Cootie and Chike, and they were talking about the documentary with Ari Melber. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the dude from MSNBC. He has that like he's the one who's always dropping the hip hop lines where he's like talking politics.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
Yeah, he's always like dropping Rick Ross or 50 Cent lines, like
I don't
he's
watch
debating
it
politics.
no politics.
I feel you.
Yeah.
But
For life.
but he had a really good interview with them because he's a big hip hop head. So like he asked Cootie specifically about the separation between them and Kanye and how like he started to kind of drift away and they both went in their separate directions. Cootie and Chike started directing for other people. I think they showed in the documentary that they directed Ordinary People for John Legend and a couple other prominent Christina Aguilera, Black Eyed Peas, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But he asked him about that and if he felt a certain way about them drifting away or like did he feel offended, was he hurt by that? And he gave an answer. Like he gave a good answer, and I don't know how much of that was him being political, but he expressed the fact that he loved Kanye, and he kind of took it in stride and basically said, "Hey, like I'm thankful for the opportunity because I got to do X, Y, Z as a result of my affiliation and connection with him, But when they asked Chike, he kind of gave the opposite answer and said that he was hurt by it. And he kind of put like he kind of put
looked out crazy though.
But
he
that's
let
the
them
thing.
MTV.
That's the thing.
Edit, they in charge. Like they wouldn't have the after
he put his
our
neck
MTV
on the line.
Plug. Like no one was doing that for you.
Could have got fired for that. So like Chike was like, yo, like he said that Cootie was being modest and Cootie was laughing. And Chike was like, yo, I'm gonna be honest. It's like I was hurt by it. I was definitely hurt by it because we sacrificed a lot, and once he got to that pinnacle and to that point, it felt like we were kind of put on pause to a degree or kind of like put on the, whatever. And whether that was intentional or not, whether that was intentional or not, he kind of expressed the fact that it hurt him.
It's just funny because you can't deny none of that because they got it all on tape. They got the proof.
Well, just to push back on that a little bit, when Chike helped them with the Through the Wire music video, was that their first time? Was that Kanye and Chike's first time kind of linking and like working together?
I don't know.
Because
doesn't.
to that point, we only see Cootie behind the camera the whole time, and then once they do that, then Chike kind of comes on board, right?
Yeah, but once the MTV shit happened, that's how they met Chike.
Yeah,
Okay.
the MTV
Because
you
I
hear
was-
it first.
I was gonna say, in that case, like to me, it kind of makes sense that Chike would be a little more hurt by it because Kanye kind of with Cootie anyway. If Cootie was there from like the beginning, not the beginning, but you know the beginning of from what we're seeing, right? It's like he built up more like faith with Kanye, and for Kanye kind of built up enough credibility with Cootie, where Cootie's gonna be like, like he's gonna work with hype, but like I trust him because you know he's held me down this whole time and I've been rocking with him. Whereas Chike, he comes along later, he gets on board later, and then it's like, oh, I put my neck out for him, and he kind of just that's it. Like
And you can't also
this one
forget
thing, and that's it. Like almost like there was less time together to kind of build that relationship between them two, so maybe it's easier for him to feel more hurt.
And you have to note the fact
That's
that the Through the Wire video was a pivotal, not only
Oh,
a pivotal
yeah.
record, but that video when they debuted it at that video release party where Dame and Biggs walked in, his label heads, they walked in and they saw the video, and like he says in the doc, Cootie is like, they finally got the vision, and right then and there, shortly thereafter, they decided to open up
Let's
the
go. Let's
and
go.
it was go time for him. So like
that's when you see him mixing and mastering finally, but getting the fucking choir, the violin girl. You see her there. Remember her? Like, yeah. And damn, that documentary is so good so far, man. It's like hard to believe that the part 3 is the last part because we got so many albums in between College Dropout.
I think it's gonna be
now.
well. I would assume they ended up getting much less footage along the way. Like Cootie ain't been following him for fucking 20 years.
That as well.
So they'll kind of just sum it up.
I saw not a documentary. I saw an interview with like one of the Netflix executives was talking about when they first started talking with Cootie and Chike about possibly doing this documentary and having it premiere on Netflix, that Cootie and Chike came, and in the meeting they had like some book bag or duffel bag, and they dropped a bunch of tapes on the conference table, and they had like supposedly hundreds of hours of footage for Kanye, and they had to take that and edit it and condense it into basically like 6 hours over 3 episodes. So they asked 4.5. So they asked Cootie and Chike in that interview with Ari Melber. He asked them about the Drake thing, because Kanye in one of his posts said that he wanted Drake to narrate the documentary. And he said that he was open to that. It didn't work for this documentary because it was him kind of telling the story of their relationship, kind of. But he said, yo, like he basically kind of alluded to the fact that they have enough footage that if he wanted to do something else, they could.
And have
so it's
Drake.
interesting.
I'm sure they could.
Wow.
Just before we move on off the Cootie stuff, I was gonna say shout out to Cootie for not feeling no type of way when Kanye went on tour without him, at least in the documentary. And then shout out to his parents who told him that everything happens for a reason, keep moving forward. And they stayed on their grind, and eventually, like you said, they ended up linking back up with Kanye, who needed a Jesus Walks video shoot again. So
right,
I just thought that was dope that like, you know, he even if they felt a little left behind, you know, they went and did their own thing, and you know, stars aligned again when they needed to.
The fact that he did that Def Poetry Jam audition, that was a fire thing too.
They were showing that, where he submitted 3 different songs, and and his mom.
My bad, Aaron. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Nah, that was perfect, because I was gonna kind of skip to like his mom being there with for New Year's, and the speech she gave to like the whole team, like Cootie, all of them, and she was just like, this is gonna be the greatest year for all of us, for the whole team, for everyone. Like let's enjoy it, let's live life. Like, yo, like she killed it. She
Yeah.
killed it. Donda was special. She was dope.
Super welcoming.
Yeah.
Super welcoming.
The only Donda quote I wrote down from this episode was, "Hey mama, that's my favorite song." Donda says that, and I just thought that was dope.
Yo, that's another record that he had that was on Late Registration.
Yeah,
He
on
had
registration
like
that he already had.
way early.
Yeah. It's crazy, yo. Crazy. That's crazy. And it shows him like putting the finishing touches of like just adding the final records. One record they didn't touch on though was the Last Call shit, which we mentioned last week and shit. I would love to see if they would have had footage of that maybe, because it sounded like when Jay went in there, like it was one of those nights they were drinking in the studio, chilling, probably listening to the album, and then Kanye probably was like, yo, I got this record though, I want you to hear it. And you know, like how he does, and then boom, Last Call comes on, you know.
Right. But I love that. I mean, I know we kind of touched on it already, but the scene where he's in the studio with Jay, where he has that, where Jay has that quote that closed mouths don't get fed. I thought like his performance though of that verse and how he sold it for Jay to consider putting him on that song, he fucking bodied it. And it was crazy because like he was basically going through the verse in real time, kind of freestyling. Like he had something, but then he was like flipping stuff like,
and then he's feeding off Jay's energy to help him improvise.
Yeah.
And it was just like he made that beat sound like $1 million beat when he started like doing it. And honestly,
that's not the original beat.
Oh,
I mean that is the original.
That's the original. They switched,
but it's not
up a
the
little
one
on
that
the
made
album.
on the album. Yeah, that's
okay,
not the one on the album.
It sounded a lot more harder, like the way it was like, and he's like, and I'm from Chicago.
Yeah.
Like, you know, yo, that was fire.
Yeah, it was stupid. It was crazy. Like,
look at Eric scrolling through his notes trying to beat me. I only got one note left, and just let me know when we wrapping up on this topic.
Yeah.
Oh well, I was gonna say last thing I wrote was when they asked him if someone told you a year ago that today you'd be sitting here nominated for 10 Grammy Awards, would you have believed it? And he goes, no. What happened is I actually told other people and they didn't believe it.
Crazy.
Oh, that's another thing when he
might
fucking
drop moment right there.
In the span of time that he gets nominated for fucking 10 Grammys, and then he's in an interview with Puff, and he's just like, yo, I'm here with Puff. Like, y'all can't tell me nothing. Like,
yeah, and he talks about like the kind of like the dichotomy of trying to be humble, but at the same time, like, yo, I'm with Puff. Like,
yeah.
Like, I want to, talk my shit in a way.
He said, after this, I'm going to go call somebody. Like,
exactly. It's like, and that's real too. Cause like they do expect you to be humble, but like at the same time, like
he's saying like, I can't help it. I got to let it be known. Like, yo, I'm about to like, Taz, I'm here with Puff. Like, yeah, that was a moment. That was dope.
Yo, just to, I'm going to read this real briefly and then I guess we could move on unless there's something else anybody wants to talk about the I think we kind of touched pretty much everything, but
yeah, it's legend.
Shout out to Anwell. But just to give you perspective, from 2001, right, I'm going to give you 2001 to 2004, which I think the documentary is now around 2004 2005, right?
2004.
Where it kind of left off, 2004, because late registration is about to come out.
It dropped that February. 2004. Yeah.
All right. So these are just the singles that Kanye produced. The singles, when I say singles, I mean ones that were released as commercial singles, not album cuts.
For other artists and himself.
In 2001, he had Izzo by Jay-Z. 2002, he had Guess Who's Back, Scarface. 2002, 03 Bonnie and Clyde with Jay-Z, Beyonce. He had 2002 Get By, Talib Kweli.
Another one.
Right? 2003 Stand Up, Ludacris.
Another one.
Through the Wire, his song. You Don't Know My Name, Alicia Keys. This is 2003 still. Slow Jam, 2003. Encore, 2003, Jay-Z. 2004, Overnight Celebrity, Twista.
10
All-
classics.
All Falls Down,
Classic.
Jesus Walks.
Classic.
Selfish by Slum Village and John Legend.
That's a
Love that record.
classic. That's a classic.
New Workout Plan.
Classic.
Sampled by J. Cole later on. He had Used to Love You by John Legend. Dope record also. I Changed My Mind, Keisha Cole. Yeah.
What
So
a fucking run. And the records that he had for himself, that was his singles, he was sitting on for 2 years already.
Yeah. 2005, The Corner, Common. Diamonds from Sierra Leone.
Come on.
Go, Common and Kanye West.
The whole album. That whole album.
Yeah. Dreams, The Game. Gold Digger. Testify, Common. Heard Him Say with Adam Levine from Maroon 5.
Damn.
It's
yo,
like,
I ain't gonna lie, the way you like breaking that down, and then also the documentary makes me feel like no one had a greater run than Kanye.
In those years,
Like,
right? In that time.
No, ever. Like,
That's
he
good.
did
That's
not
not a
miss.
run.
He
Then at that
didn't
point, you're
miss.
not talking about a run. You're talking about a career.
all right.
Yeah, his run is, but like his run got
Because a
bumpy
run
at
is
one
like a
point.
span.
But I'm
That's
saying
what
the
I'm
run
saying.
from
Run is like a
when he
span.
started
That's why I said
to
those years.
fucking Pablo, I guess, was when people started doubting him
People
a
started
little,
doubting
but-
at around
but-
Right.
Right. So
Okay,
that's a great segue. So I was just gonna say, let's look at the studio albums. College Dropout, 2004. Most people consider that to be a universal classic. Hip hop classic. Late Registration. Most people consider that to be a classic. That was in 2005. Right? So February 2004, College Dropout. August 2005, Late Registration. Graduation, September 11th, 2007. Another pretty much universal classic.
Yes.
My favorite Kanye album.
Now, this is where it gets interesting. In November of 2008, he releases 808 and Heartbreak.
Okay.
Now people
it was
look at that,
criticized, but
it was
now
criticized, yeah.
It's a classic.
but now a lot of people look at that as a classic.
First listen.
Yeah. Right? People
Barry
and think about it. Barry Horowitz. People look at that album 808 and Heartbreaks, and like shout out to Cudi because Plain Pat, a lot of them had a big part in the sound of that album, and Cudi wrote a lot on that album and actually gave songs to Ye that were probably going to be a part of his solo album. So but that project right there is one of the most influential projects probably he ever put out, even though it was polarizing. Because if you think about how many artists were influenced, from Travis Scott to Drake to,
everyone you hear now that kind of
Chance the Rapper,
even like the Voorhees who are on his albums now, they definitely got influenced
100%.
through the 808 and Heartbreak vibes.
Right.
Guys like that. Fucking, if you want to even go like the Bryson Tillers,
Wayne,
even though Wayne was doing auto tune, but he wasn't getting into like that kind of way of music.
It was the emo. He basically kind of, him and Cudi were kind of responsible for kind of ushering in the emo sound that ended up kind of dominating the next few years and stuff. And like Drake took it to, he brought his own sound with 40 and they carved out their own space to it. But like that album was super influential. So you had that, right? So like, just to recap, College Dropout, Late Registration, Graduation, 808 and Heartbreak, right? So that's 4 albums right there, all classic or damn near classic, with the one exception being 808 and Heartbreak, where you could debate on. Some people,
in hindsight, it's 4 classics.
Right. The next album, My Dark Twisted Beautiful Fantasy, released in 2010. Classic. And
let's not forget how he rolled out that album, dropping the Good Friday records with songs that didn't even make that album that were fucking bananas, like,
Right. Oh, so he releases My Dark Twisted Beautiful Fantasy. Now, this is not part of his solo discography, but Watch the Throne comes out a year after my Dark Twisted Beautiful Fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
That's 6 classics, my friends.
That's disgusting.
Like no one had a run like that. The greatest run of all time.
that is
I'm
the greatest
sorry.
run. That is the greatest album run of all time. And it's why even if you shit on Yeezus, which I think is a great album still, people will fight you on that. To me, Yeezus is the dark version of 808s and Heartbreak, in my opinion. It's polarizing in the same way. To me, it's a rougher sound. It's very brash. He takes a lot of chances on it. But like if you go back and listen to songs like
one of my favorites is the shit that has the Beanie Man memories when they live like people do. What? That record's crazy. The Bound, obviously. Like there's been the record with Chief Keef.
Black Skinhead to me is fire.
Black
like that shit goes. I fucks with New Slaves. I think he bodies his verse on there.
And the rollouts though, like that's another thing. Kanye always makes moments when he was projecting the videos around America in New York and Chicago and LA on the walls, and you had to pop up and watch the video to hear the song for the first time. Like Kanye's always did things like that. Like that's why I say greatest run. Like
Hold My Liquor, I fucks with that record. I'm in it. I'm in it. Blood on the Leaves. Guilt Trip.
Blood on the Leaves.
Send It Up.
Send It Up.
Bound. Like in retrospect, the album is like, and even Pablo. Pablo has joints on it.
Yes.
Like Pablo. Yeah, I love Pablo.
The only thing he could criticize is that it might have had too many songs. Like he could have cut some of the fat. Like it was a little, and it was the way it was released was kind of like all over the place.
But even like it felt like he was tapping into something nostalgic when he was on like the 30 Hours with Andre, and
I love that.
You know what I'm saying? Like
vibe.
Like even the old Kanye little interlude shit. Like
No More Parties in LA with Kendrick.
No More Parties in LA. Like like I don't know. The only album I say that some flack some flack was given to Kanye on my behalf was the Ye album. Some flack, not slack, flack. Like where I was
finish your sentence first.
Was the Ye album and the one he did in Wyoming, where I was like, there's a couple records on there, but even that album fucking had people saying I feel free. Like you know what I'm saying? Like,
I love that record.
Exactly. That's a great record. And then fucking Kids See Ghosts around that time. Like, come on, Kanye.
Kids See Ghosts.
That's a great album. That's a great album. I don't care what no one says.
Great album.
Like,
but yeah, like
greatest run of all time.
He, despite even if you don't love the last couple albums, to me, he still has the best discography in hip hop history. I don't know. There's no other artist who has a discography as good as him. And if you look at it in its totality, the only other people that you could kind of put in the conversation are like obviously Jay-Z comes to mind. I think Kendrick Lamar so far in his career, even though he doesn't have as many albums, has put his hat in that ring. I mean, I think Cole in recent years has really made a push to be in those conversations also, but I feel like
he didn't start off the strongest.
Yeah,
he didn't start off strong like Kendrick did, like Kanye did. But Jay didn't start off super strong. I mean, his first album obviously is classic, but it didn't sell crazy records out the gate and all. It was slept on. And then his second album got a little criticism and shit because he was going like the flashy route. But I think Jay has great discography too. That's up there with Kanye after Volume 2 and Dynasty album, Blueprint, Black album, like some classics as well. But Kanye, bro, like never missed. I think honestly Kendrick's the only one that you could really kind of say like hasn't missed either. You know what I'm saying? So far. Because even Drake doesn't have a perfect discography to me. Mm-hmm. And I love a lot of Drake's albums too, because we came up in the era where he was going off, you know, he's been running this shit, you know.
Right. Yeah, I mean Drake. The thing with Drake is like, there's a question as to if he has a definitive classic, right? And I'm not saying that he doesn't have one. What I'm saying is he definitely doesn't have a universal one, in my opinion. And if there is one, it would be
Take Care. Take Care.
Most people say
Or,
Take
yeah.
Care, but
Because even when
or-
I argue that Take Care is not his best album, people go to bat for Take Care as the classic.
right, that would be
But
the
to
one.
me, my favorite is actually Nothing Was the Same.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I would say would be the two people. That
Yeah.
would be the two that people stand
But
by.
you know, you find different answers with Drake, so that's why I'm kind of like saying there is. I don't know if there's one that people would universally say, yeah, this is the one, outside of maybe Take Care. But like I've heard people talk about, if you're reading this, it was too late. It was like one of his best projects and stuff like that. Like it depends.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So speaking of albums, Kanye recently streamed his new album. A lot of people is rocking with that. And
Donda 2.
and
And
he
the listening party.
And he continues to go on social media and be a presence, which
Sure does.
yeah, that's
The
my
chagrin
boy.
of some.
That's my boy. I'm riding with Kanye when it come down to it.
Okay,
and
but talk about why or how.
why or how?
What are we referencing first of all?
Okay, well, I mean, it started with this. I believe this is it. We had differing opinions on this.
I need more context.
So give us the
on this, man.
context. I wasn't the one that shared this in the group chat.
Oh, you want me to give it?
Yeah, because all I know is Pete Davidson has deleted his Instagram. I don't know if he had an Instagram before today or how long he's at, or he's new to Instagram and then he just ran off.
So apparently Pete Davidson, Kanye has been for the last month, kind of been very
foot on his neck,
very, very active on social media. Screenshotting conversations, private conversations, going at people, making his opinions very known in terms, like, I guess, with respect to his family dynamic, his relationship with his wife, and her new relationship with, I guess, her boyfriend, Pete Davidson. So Pete Davidson recently created an Instagram account and he put up his first post, and apparently that post was just filled with comments from Kanye fans mostly, who were just getting on him and like calling him skeet and just like berating him and stuff,
telling
like
him to find God.
Yeah. So Kanye ends up screenshotting Pete Davidson's page, which looks now to be inactive or deleted, whatever. It's probably just deactivated. So he screenshot that, and then what does the caption say about Kanye? Because it's kind of small. What is it?
Read it, Aaron.
Oh, says
ran skeet off the gram. Tell your mother I changed your name for
Life.
I don't know the last word.
For life.
For life.
Yeah. So he says ran skeet off the gram. Tell your mother I changed your name for life. So all I'll say about this, and I'm gonna keep it short, is like, yo, Kanye, we have been celebrating you these past 2 weeks. And for this documentary, by and large, everybody's fallen in love with your music again. Even the people who've been hating on you for the last several years, they're remembering why they loved you as an artist so much. Why is this fucking necessary at this point?
And I'm gonna say, Kanye, we've been appreciating you. We love you. We appreciate all your music. We appreciate this documentary. Keep your fucking foot on his neck. Nah, I'm not trying to be ruthless or nothing, but fuck it, yo. This is the perfect rollout too. Everyone got all eyes on Kanye, man. But man, he don't like that his ex-wife or his current wife, who he's going through a divorce with, is with this man. Like, this is what it is. The dude's in the
gotta be a
public eye.
fucking creep about it or a fucking dickhead about it. But you don't have to be a dickhead about it. This is the thing. Like, I love Kanye and we've shown the appreciation, but you don't have to be a dickhead to someone because your ex decides to date the next guy. Like, why is that?
Emphasis on the X part.
Yeah,
emphasis
like,
on that.
bro, this in no way is this healthy. In no way is that like the shit like where you're like, all right, yeah, do your thing. Like, I don't think that shit should be applauded. Like that's how I feel about it, and
I
that's
agree
why I knew we was
100%.
gonna go at each other about
Can't
this.
co-sign
Kanye
that.
versus Skeet.
You could be a
Kanye versus
Kanye fan,
Skeet.
or all
Bare
right, bro.
knuckle. Bare knuckle. Let's go.
You could be a
Kanye
Kanye fan
versus
all
Skeet.
you
My
want.
money's on Ye. My
But you
money's on
gotta-
Ye.
Also,
You
like
gotta be able
Kanye,
to see it for what it is. And
Kanye was
split it
recently
up. These are
playing
two
the
different things.
Kanye was recently playing the mental health card, right?
Mhm.
Which he has played before. And yes, he is somebody that suffers from mental health issues. Like that's been documented. He's bipolar. I'm not trying to make light of that, but bro, like you can't on one hand sit here and claim that people are taking advantage of your mental health state and stuff like that, and using that to kind of settle the score with you, or like people are trying to push you on meds and all of that stuff. And you're talking about like your mother-in-law, Kris Jenner, and all this stuff. And you can't put all that out there on social media and expect to be a sympathetic figure and then attack somebody who has a documented history of also having mental health issues, somebody who has been suicidal before. And now it's one thing.
Nah, but he's not telling him go harm yourself.
No, but you're
or
screenshotting
matter,
fuck your
bro.
mental health or anything.
You're not only responsible if you
Bro,
tell someone
what if
to kill
Kanye
themselves.
has
That is not the
information-
only context.
What if
where
Kanye
like
has
you should feel
information of
responsible?
Pete Davidson trying to get with Kim before they were divorced or exes?
Right,
And
but
he's
you're
always
reaching
been
right
trying.
now. We don't
I'm
know that to be
reaching,
true
but
though.
Kanye just not happy with the facts, so he don't fuck
I
with
mean,
it. Like he
clearly,
can say what he wants to say. That's the mother of his children's. Like
he can definitely say what he wants to say, but we're not talking about whether or not he can say what he wants to say. That's not really what the issue is. We're more talking about should he really be saying that, considering that he's somebody himself who also suffers from mental health issues. And like, yo, you don't know. Listen, if the comments, if the comment section,
do with mental health.
If the comment section
What do you mean? This is the epitome of like cyberbullying. Like
exactly. If the comment section made him deactivate his Instagram account, right? Then what do you think Kanye taking a screenshot and basically reveling in the facts that his fans made him deactivate his account? Like he basically is celebrating the mob that went after him on his own page.
I feel you.
Like
the only thing
it's
that's for me is like, will Kim ever be able to have someone then if it wasn't Pete and if it was someone else? Like, will she be ever? And that's whack.
I would hope so because she has the right to.
Yeah, she exactly, and I understand. I just think it's specifically Pete. The fact that she went from him to Pete that tugs at his emotions and makes him act like this.
Well, I think it could have been anyone and he'd be upset, but it doesn't justify how he's acting. That's the issue. And it's like, bro, we just talked about it with like, what was it, 2 episodes ago with like North on fucking social media. What if people were telling her to harm herself or talking crazy to her? Like none of it is cool. Like it's never cool. Like to like.
But he never told nobody to go do that. He never sent them.
He knows what he's doing though. When you have an influence, when you like, it's one thing if I do it, right? I don't have a mob of people ready to fucking, cyberbully for me. So when you have crazy influence like that, you know what you're doing when you kind of like put that battery in their back to like go crazy in someone's comments or like.
And then Kanye says uses it right back against him when he was going through his mental health, and you're saying Pete Davidson is a guy who deals with mental health. Pete Davidson's on SNL talking about we like Kanye when he's on the meds or some shit. Or go take your meds.
He's a comedian though.
Yeah, and that's
he wasn't dating
SNL, and taking meds is the responsible thing to do. I'm sorry, but if you're prescribed meds, that is the responsible thing to do.
He's trying to make a joke of it. He's trying to make light of it.
But that's not the reason Kanye attacked him.
And that's not it. Yeah, like
that's not the reason Kanye attacked him.
I'm just
also
saying,
to be clear, this is important. Kanye deleted a post that he put on his Instagram account where he was basically urging people, his followers and people, to on site when they saw Pete to basically put hands on him. He suggested that in the post and deleted it. So
And
we
then
can't.
He also said, "I'm gonna handle it myself."
But you've
Yeah.
already put that out there.
Yeah.
That's one. And then not only that, but then there will be the people that saw the first post but never saw the second post. And in their mind, it's like, yeah, fuck Skeet and blah 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 blah. And when I see Skeet doing this, and you know what I mean? And then they post, and then Skeet posts, and it's like, fuck you, Skeet. Like, it's
Changed
all
his
this
name
extra
for
shit.
life.
But it's like, I don't. It's to me, it's fucked up. Like, and I can appreciate, that's the thing, and this is why I go back and forth with Kanye, is because I can appreciate his music, and I can appreciate. Even last week we were talking about, like, he has a good heart, but then there's shit like this that he does, and it's like, bro, like,
it's childish, it's
that's
petty,
not it. Like,
it's beneath him, honestly. Like, yo, we don't know the full story. Aaron could be right. Maybe this dude Pete was trying to get with Kim while they were still working stuff out, and it was.
I was trying to get with Kim while Kanye and her was still working stuff out.
And I don't blame you, but I wouldn't feel like it was right for Kanye to go at you on social media and have his fans go at you. Like, wow. Your own family. That's crazy.
I'm telling you. He dodged by Kanye.
Like, yo, you should have
Kanye
never
don't even
slid
know
in her
him.
DM. That's Kanye's BM.
Freestyle coming up. Let's go.
Cue the beat. I understand. Like, it is a part of me that trolls. Like, yo, fuck it, I'm riding with Kanye. But at the same time, like, bro, crazy side of me, if I was in Kanye's shoes, might do the same shit. Fuck it, that's my wife. She's on Kim Kardashian level, and I don't like you, bro. Like, fuck you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
there's a way to handle.
But I wouldn't want to like torture her for the rest of her life. Like, she can never be in another relationship. That'd be crazy if like he never lets her be in another relationship.
And if you
did
did
like,
that,
damn, like, I can't even defend you, bro. Like, chill. Like,
and
Aaron dropped already. Chill.
Aaron, if you did that, you can rest assured that me and Cesar will both be texting you and be like, yo, bro, put your phone down.
Fucking weird.
And that's why y'all my boys. I love y'all.
Stop being fucking weird is what I would text you.
I'd be like, yo, it's some things that y'all just don't understand.
Like, fuck
Skeet. Nah, Aaron will be like screenshotting our conversations, like nobody could control me. He's like,
oh man, yeah, man. But yeah, that was all the rave of the week, bro.
Yeah, I think we touched pretty much everything.
Right. But yeah, man, fucking can't wait for part 3. See y'all on the other side.
Facts. See y'all next week.
See y'all next week, yo. No Politics Network, No Politics Podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment. Thank you to everybody that's viewing our videos and is already subscribed. You know, all the people that come back. We love y'all.
Yes, sir.
No Politics Network and at No Politics Sports on Instagram.
Yes.
Facts. You already see our socials on the page, so I ain't saying none of that.
Prayers to Ukraine.
Yeah, this is going on.
No politics though, but you know.
Yeah.
Is that politics?
You think people
no politics, but love though.
Is that politics? Yeah, but I don't know.
Love, peace, all that.
Word.